Welcome back once again, all of my low carb friends, and for those of you who are here for the first time, welcome. Today I have another very easy keto dessert recipe for you. Today we are going to make keto butterscotch cake with a very quick keto butterscotch frosting. Both of these recipes super easy, super quick, super delicious. And if you want printable versions of these recipes, you can check out my website at janet'sdeliciouslowcarbkitchen.com. You can find a printable version of these recipes and other goodies there for you. And if you're new to the channel and you want to see lots of easy, delicious, low-carb keto recipes, make sure you click that subscribe button and click the notification bell that's right next to the subscribe button. That way you can be notified every time I put out videos every Wednesday and Saturday. And if you'd like to help support the channel, make sure you scroll down in the description of the video. You'll see some affiliate links. Anytime you purchase anything using those affiliate links, a small portion of your purchase will go to me and help support the channel. So while you do all that, let's get cooking. Preheat your oven to 350 degrees. Line an 8 by 8 inch cake pan with parchment paper. Allow the paper to hang over the sides just a little bit. That way you can use these as handles to remove the cake once it's done baking. In a large mixer bowl, combine 120 grams or around 17 tablespoons of coconut flour, 15 grams or around 1 tablespoon of baking powder, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 120 grams or around 2/3 cup of the brown sugar sweetener of your choice. I'm using brown monk fruit sweetener. You can use whatever brown sugar sweetener you want. You can also adjust this more or less depending on how sweet you want your cake. Sift these all together until everything is fully combined and there are no lumps in the dry ingredients. Add 4 large room temperature eggs. Make sure they are room temperature so they stir in more smooth. Stir the eggs into the dry ingredients until everything is fully combined and the dry ingredients are all moist. Add a 1/2 cup of butter that's been melted and cooled. Make sure it is cooled. You do not want to add hot butter. Stir the butter in until everything is fully combined. Add 138 grams or around 9 tablespoons of room temperature plain yogurt or sour cream. Again, make sure this is room temperature. Room temperature ingredients combine better for making a smoother dough, which makes for a fluffier cake. Add 8 grams or around 2 teaspoons of maple or vanilla extract. Stir everything all together until everything is fully combined and a smooth dough has formed. Scrape down the sides of the bowl and push the dough to the center of the bowl. Then form the dough into a smooth ball. Massage the ball in your hands just for about 20-30 seconds. This is just going to make sure that you have the right texture of dough. The dough should be lightly moist and should be holding together really well as you're massaging it and forming it into a ball. It should all be binding together really nicely. It should not be sticking to your hands and chunks should not be falling off as you are massaging it. If it's sticking to your hands, then you need to add a tiny bit more coconut flour. If chunks are falling off and it feels dry and feels like the ingredients are not holding together, then you need to add very small amounts of warm water or warm milk of your choice until the ingredients all come together and hold their shape. Once you've massaged the dough for a few minutes and you have the right texture, form it back into a ball, then place it into the center of your prepared cake pan. Use your hands or the back of a measuring cup and press the dough evenly throughout the pan. Make sure you get it as even as possible and keep the top nice and flat so it doesn't bubble up while it bakes. Once the dough is pressed evenly, then place the pan into your preheated oven and bake at 350 degrees for 25 to 30 minutes or until the cake is slightly golden around the edges and a tester comes out clean. For me, about 27 minutes was perfect. Once the cake is done baking, remove it from the oven. It still will be soft, but it will firm up as it cools. Allow it to cool in the pan for 1 hour so it can continue to cook a little bit and firm up. You want this to be mostly cooled before you try to remove it. If you try to remove it when it has too much warmth in it, you run the risk of your cake crumbling on you. So allow it to cool for that full hour. Once the cake is cooled for an hour and has firmed up, Grasp the overhanging parchment paper and carefully remove the cake from the pan, then transfer it to a wire rack and allow it to cool completely before frosting it. Once the cake has cooled completely, if you want to, you can just slice it and eat it as it is. But of course, I like to frost things, so we are going to make some butterscotch frosting for this. So for the frosting, melt 3 ounces or around a half cup of Keto Butterscotch chips. If you do choose to melt in the microwave, make sure you use a fork and stir the chips after every 20-second interval. That way they don't burn or get hard on you. Also, butterscotch chips can be a little bit tricky when you are melting them. You want to make sure they're fully melted, but you don't want to overheat the butterscotch chips because if you overheat them, they're going to turn hard. Keep an eye on them really closely. You just want them to be melted enough so that you can pour them into a mixing bowl. Once the chips are fully melted, pour them into a large mixer bowl and add 1 tablespoon of very soft room temperature butter. Make sure it's not melted. You just want this to be very soft so it blends well with the chips. Beat the butter and the chips together on low for a few seconds just until they start combining. Then increase the speed to medium-low and beat them on medium-low for about 20 seconds or so, just until the chips and the butter are completely combined and creamy. If you need to, you can stop and scrape down the sides of the bowl. Make sure when you add the chips to the butter that you do this quickly. You don't want the chips to start firming up. If you do that, the chips won't combine with the butter. There'll be chunks of hard flecks of butterscotch in your frosting. Once the butter and the chips are fully combined, turn your mixer down to low. Gradually alternate adding small amounts of the powdered sweetener of your choice and small amounts of the room temperature milk of your choice until the frosting reaches your desired consistency. For the powdered sweetener, I'm using powdered monk fruit allulose blend. You can use whatever powdered sweetener you want. For the milk, my personal favorite keto milk is coconut milk. Again, you can use whatever milk you want. And again, make sure your ingredients are room temperature. Now, as I already said, you can alternate and use as much powdered sweetener in milk as you want to make this your desired consistency. I used a total of around 188 grams or around 1.5 cups of the powdered sweetener and 38 milliliters or around 2.5 tablespoons of the milk. You really don't want to use more than 188 grams of sweetener and 38 milliliters of milk. It'll start getting a strange texture and not have that creamy filling you want for frosting. If once you've added all the powdered sweetener and all the milk, it still seems like it's not the thickness that you want, you can sprinkle in up to 1 teaspoon of coconut flour. Then beat on low for about 30 seconds more just to make sure that everything is fully combined and smooth. Then spread the frosting evenly over your cooled cake. Make sure it is cooled. Once the cake is all frosted, then let it stand for about 10 minutes. This is going to help the frosting to firm up and soak into your cake a little bit. Once the frosting has firmed up, cut the cake into your desired size slices. You can eat this immediately. If you have any leftovers, store them in an airtight container at room temperature for up to 3 days, or in an airtight container in your refrigerator for up to 1 week. Eat and enjoy. And that's our recipe of the day. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did and you want to see more videos like this, make sure you click that thumbs up like button, click that subscribe button, leave me a comment if you want to. Let me know if there's any recipes that you'd like to learn how to make, and I'll do what I can to get those out there for you. And as always, keep cooking.